We went to Spain in January 2020 for 6 months. Unfortunately, it had to be cut short because of the pandemic, but we were meant to stay for 6 months, but we arrived in the January. I'd been studying Spanish, and I really wanted the opportunity to live in a country and practice the Spanish. And luckily I met a Spanish man in Canberra, and he gave me the link to the language assistance program. So it just followed on from there.
We got assigned to Avila, so we lived right in the centre of Avila, and we went to different schools. So I went to Avila, and it was about a 30-minute drive, and Rebecca went to Cardeñosa. So there was a little bit of travel involved, but we really felt part of the Avila community, or the Avila city. We got to know some locals there, and we joined a ukulele group, and we went to quite a lot of the bars in Avila. We had a great time. Mm-hmm.
Well, the first challenge was we had to find somewhere to live. And we left Australia very hot, lots of bushfires, and we arrived in Spain. It was so cold, and I had to say, ¿Dónde está la inmobiliario? The real estate agent. And it was so difficult to say because I was so cold. But and then when we went to these inmobiliarios, they said that we couldn't rent for 6 months. It had to be for a year. But luckily we got onto a website called Idealista, and we were able to find some accommodation. But that was probably the biggest challenge, was finding somewhere suitable to live, and also just starting at new schools and trying to speak the language. That was difficult, because learning a language in Australia is quite different to actually having to speak it in real life with real Spaniards who speak so fast.
Yeah, so they were both public schools, and I went to a secondary school in Avila. Rebecca went to 5 different small regional primary schools, and we really were part of the school community from day one. So very, very welcoming, and felt really supported by the teachers and the principals at the school. So it was very well organised as far as that was concerned. Mm-hmm.
I do, yes. Yes, just I remember one girl, I don't think she'd ever met anyone that couldn't speak Spanish properly, and she just took me by my hand and walked me around and pointed to everything and told me the Spanish word for it. I think she felt really sorry for me, but she really, really looked after me. They all lined up and gave me a kiss and welcomed me. So that was lovely.
It was, a lot of students had just heard through the news about the bushfires in Australia, and they were very concerned about the koalas and the kangaroos. And it was almost, for them, it was almost more catastrophic. I mean, it was catastrophic, but they just, it was very, they really felt the pain of, the loss of native animals in Australia. And yeah, like Rebecca, the staff I found at this first day were very friendly. They wanted me to do a map of Australia on the chalkboard, and I did quite a number of those, and I got slightly better, but I still found I'm not great at drawing freehand maps of Australia, so that was one of my challenges. So for me, I was asked to follow the curriculum. I was in a number of different classes like you do in secondary school, and one of the groups that I was working with were doing their whole curriculum in English. So I would study what they were doing, and because it's conversational English, it was about having conversations with them, mainly about the work that they'd already been doing. So most of the work had been prepared by the teachers, and I would extrapolate or expand on what they were already doing through conversations in English.
And that's the same for me. We followed a curriculum, and so I was helping the children a lot with their pronunciation, play some games with the children, play some English in English, and also I had the opportunity to teach some origami, so giving the instructions in English. So even though we were following the curriculum, there was opportunities to expand.
For me, there weren't a lot of meetings, but with some of the teachers, because my Spanish is very low, and so we did some joint language sharing, and would spend with a couple of teachers, would spend a half an hour talking just English and then a half an hour of talking just Spanish. I didn't attend, there was the odd meeting, but not many meetings, no.
I don't think I had to go, but because I was getting a ride back to Avila with staff members, I would attend until I got the ride back.
We had different teachers that we worked with, and we would sit down and plan lessons with those teachers. But there wasn't one particular tutor we had. There was one person at the school who was like our contact and main contact. So their role was really to introduce me to the other teachers and make sure that the timetable was okay. And so that's part of the good support that you get through the program. Same,
he introduced me to the other teachers I would be working with and set up the timetable. And he, it's 2023, I'm still getting WhatsApps from him, but we're still in touch. So we developed a strong relationship. And also he drove me to school too.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit, for me, it was being thrown in the deep end, as in, you either swim or drown. And I had the 20 or half-hour trips in the car. I really had to focus on, learning a little bit more Spanish than what I did. So that was.
I think we only worked 3 days at the school, and we worked the same days. So we had the opportunity to, from memory, I think we worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we actually had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to experience Spain. And the public transport in Spain is incredible. So we would go up to the train station and think, let's go to Madrid, or let's go to Leon, or so just having that experience of living in another culture was just incredible and such a unique experience.
Yeah, and I had one teacher who, her name was also Nuria, and she took us to where she grew up in Burgos, and we met her family, and she drove us there and drove us back, and we went on walks with her on weekends and other staff, and just incredibly hospitable. The people, we felt very privileged to be having people that were so kind of kind to us, I suppose.
So helpful, so welcoming, so kind. Also, we rented an apartment, and the landlords came round to get the rent, and the landlord brought us a tortilla de patata for us. And that doesn't happen very often, where your landlord brings you something delicious, home cooked to eat.
And she was also a nurse, and when the COVID came to Spain, she actually recommended that we leave. She said this is going to be around for a while. She got the sense that it was going to be around for a while. So for a landlord to say, you know, break the contract, we'll give you, you know, just pay whatever rent you need to pay, and then we'll finish there. That was
very understanding.
Yeah, very understanding. Yeah,
friendly, helpful, interested in us, and it made it really easy for us to be there. And we were so sad to leave. When we rang up our tutors and said that we're going back to Australia, I burst into tears, and then Chris he let me cry for about half an hour, and he said, you know, Beck, this is bigger than you. This pandemic, come on, get over it. So we still have relationships with people that we met in the 2.5 months that we were there. So we can highly recommend doing this language assistant program. And also for us, it was such a unique opportunity because we're older. I always thought, oh, to live in another country, you have to, you know, be a uni student or on an exchange at a school. And so it was so exciting to think we can go and live in another country as you know, middle-aged people.
Could I talk about going to the different bars? We thought maybe if we stay there for 6 months, we'd go to every bar in Avila. But we went to about a third of them, I think. So that was my highlight. And just the children, they were great. They were, you know, they were very patient with me, not knowing much Spanish, and they'd always come up and want to practice their English. So that was lovely.
Yeah, for me, it was meeting the children and the staff members, and also bars and food, and just being in also being in Avila with the wall, just that the history was really unique.
Yeah, it's fair. We did sort of, I mean, obviously not locals, but we did start to feel like we're part of a community, which you wouldn't get as a person travelling through Spain. So it felt great. I'd say you only live once, and go for it, because it's a fantastic program, a really well organised and enriching program that I wouldn't, you know, you don't want to miss out on that great opportunity.
I agree. Experience it, and you know, it's the way, if you want to develop your language skills, to be thrown in the deep end, it's a great opportunity.